Welcome in to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for Sports Illustrated. MMQB. Gilbert, the Rams defense dominates the Vikings en route to a 27-9 wild card win. The Rams are still alive, as Kyron Williams was shouting going into the locker room there. But a great performance by the defense. We've been saying it now for the last couple of weeks now to end the season. There's like the Rams found their identity, and their identity is this defense, and they put on a great display tonight, Gilbert.
Yeah, what a special night for the city of Los Angeles after a difficult week with all the wildfires and moving the game from SoFi to Glendale, Arizona. Packing the buses from Southern California to get to Arizona. And I know the broadcast said it was 51-49 Vikings fans, but I think that strong start from the Rams, man, it set the tone. You heard the crowd. Matthew
Mhm.
Stafford, a strike to Puka Nacua, 27 yards. You heard the crowd. Byron Young sack, you heard the crowd. Jared Verse, scoop and score return touchdown, you heard the crowd. So it was a great night for LA. I know there's still a long battle to come to repair the city and Altadena and the Pacific Palisades all over Southern California. But for one night, some good positivity, a brief distraction, and now the Rams move forward. So that was a very dominant performance to cap a very difficult week.
Yeah, and shout out to the first responders, the firefighters out there doing a great job. We haven't gotten past all that yet because there's still strong winds coming this week, but this was a nice distraction, and seeing the Rams out there just, putting in work, especially on defense. But you said it right, Gilbert. I thought this game kind of the Rams kind of took care of business right off the bat with Matthew Stafford. He was 6-6 in every, it seemed like, in that opening drive touchdown, which we haven't seen an opening drive touchdown by the Rams all season long. And we talked about this. Is this going to be the time we finally see this offense open up? They sure did. And Matthew Stafford was 6-6. I think it was 64 yards. Tyler Higbee and Puka Nacua were great in that opening drive, I thought. But then picking up the blitz, I thought, Sean McVay had a great game plan going up against Brian Flores.
Oh yeah, I thought Chris Shula had a great game plan against Kevin O'Connell. The coaches of the Rams stepped up, and you're 100% correct, Victor. This is the defense, that the Rams are riding right now. That is the identity. That is what they kind of have hang their hat on, their bread and butter. But it was a complete performance, like you mentioned. The offense scoring from the get go, 7 plays, 70 yards, touchdown Stafford to Kyron Williams. I thought that set the tone to say, hey, you've been lifting us, man. You've been betting us out here, shutting down teams to win the NFC West title. Now we're going to return the favor here. And surprise, surprise, you get a 10-point lead from the bat. You're playing from with the lead. Bring up the pressure, cook it up. And I'll say this about Chris Shula, Victor. Yeah, you look great when your GM is getting you Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and Michael Hoy stepping out. You look great with a good defensive front. But today he earned his money. That was a great game plan. The second that he noticed Sam Darnold overthinking, holding the ball too long, not knowing what to do, no Justin
Yep.
Jefferson, you know what he does? Brings the pressure. Here's a blitz here with a cornerback, Witherspoon strip sack, Jared Verse do the rest there. Kobe Durant sack, Kobe Durant interception, 9 freaking sacks. That's an NFL record for a playoff game. I didn't know that
Yep.
until the end there. So, hey, Chris Shula, man, I know he's not Brian Flores. He's not getting the head coaching jobs and opportunities, but hey, sooner or later, he's going to get that opportunity because of what he did tonight.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great game plan. I mean, I hate to kind of give the Lions credit here, but it seems like what Aaron Glenn did to Sam Darnold, the Chris Shula just took it and then just copy and pasted. I mean, the other thing that I thought that was really good by Chris Shula was he left Kobe Durant out there and he took out Darius Williams. He substituted him in and he left him out there. He really, like people were asking, well, where's Darius Williams? Is he hurt or something? No, he went with the hot hand. He knew he needed to play man to man in this game if they were going to blitz and they were going to put pressure on Sam Darnold. And that's why I know a lot of people are making a big deal out of Sam Darnold losing money. No, to me, this was a great game plan. Like, first of all, you put the pressure by scoring first, and then you put the pressure on Sam Darnold by being able to, play man to man and blitzing him. So I thought a lot of credit goes to the Rams. I know a lot of people are saying, well, this, Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin again. No, for me, it was, you got to give this Rams defense a lot of credit, Gilbert, because now if you look back, since they gave up those 42 points to the Bills, this defense has allowed 6 points, 9 points, 9 points, and 9 points now when their starters have been in the game. I don't count that Seahawks game because a lot of their subs were in there.
Yeah, the Sam Darnold debate is tricky, and I somewhat agree and disagree with you, Victor. I thought Sam Darnold folded, but
Hmm.
yes, don't take away from what Chris Shula's game plan did. Don't take away from the
Yeah.
defense, because when you're able to bring in pressure with just your 4 or 5, like you mentioned, is it the cheetah 5 or what do we call it?
Yeah, the cheetah package.
So when you got that, and I think what Chris Wheeler did a great job was, okay, I know what I do well. Here's the pressure, and then okay, the little weak in the secondary, a little weak at the linebacker group. So he always kind of relied on what got him there. But the
Hmm.
second that I realized that Sam Darnold wasn't really there mentally, because I'll say this: Sam Darnold was not at fault for the sluggish, start, the 3 and outs early on. That's because Kobe Turner, by the way, pushed the right tackle for the Vikings into Sam Darnold for the
Hmm.
interception on Kobe Durant. That's on the O line. Byron Young getting that sack on the 3 and out on the first drive, that's on the O line. But the second that he got in his head and he
Oh
started
yeah.
feeling the pressure, that's where Shula took over and brought more pressure. Even the broadcast was saying this team doesn't really bring pressure or blitz like that. But that is the beauty of Chris Shula doing it, saying, you know what, this is my moment right here. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, we could talk all we want all day about Sam Darnold. The other part of it is they have JJ McCarthy. So to me, I'd rather go that way instead of paying that
Yeah.
guy. But yeah, maybe somebody else takes a chance on him, and it's unfair to take away for those 2 games that he had from a 14-win victory season. But yes, the star is on the defense, and I want to keep highlighting the complete performance. Like Victor, I know I'm the
Yeah.
most negative person here.
Yeah.
I even said this is the ceiling for the Rams divisional round. Cool, that's it. I'm done being positive. They got to the divisional round. When you're having an offense like that, have a hot start. When you have Matthew Stafford, who's a proven winner in this league, when you have Sean McVay having a great game plan, I wish he would have ran the football a little more. I'm gonna be a little picky there.
Yeah.
Uh, they
I'm
have
with
all
you.
the ingredients: skill players, pass rushers, good coaching, a proven quarterback. Even guys who made. It's unfortunate about Tyler Higbee. I'm going on and on right now, but I'll say this: they have the ingredients to go far. We're like, hey, Amon Ross St. Brown was saying something when he said, we don't want to face the Rams. Maybe
Yeah.
the Eagles don't want to either.
Yeah, and I'm already seeing people that that follow the Eagles saying that, yeah, like I don't think they want to see this Rams team now, and I get it. They blew them out earlier in the season, and we'll get to it. But
Good point. Yep.
this is a completely different team now, especially since they've gotten this defense going, and especially going into a neutral side like they did. That was really impressive of the Rams. It just they took this game over too. I mean, the first two after the first two drives, I knew this game was pretty much over. I just needed to see a little bit more. It got a little bit iffy. I'll be honest, when there was that call with Matthew Stafford where it looked like he fumbled, but he
Hmm.
threw the ball away, which I thought was really, it was a veteran move. Another reason why you need a guy like that. And like I said, I mean, it was going to be hard for uh, Brian Flores. He did all he could against Matthew Stafford, but he knew that his only way to win this game was going to be to throw blitzes at him. And this was a guy who was number one against the blitz going, the whole season. So it just became a problem, and now they go up against a big Fanduel defense. So yeah, I'm with
Ooh.
you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup, and I can't wait to
Yep.
break it all down here in House of Horns. But yeah, I thought again going back to the start was perfect, because when you have hot starts like that and you have an aggressive play caller in Brian Flores, you can't bring the house that quickly, or you can't kind of dial it up in perfect places where you don't know where it's coming. Now it's like, okay, we got to back up. I don't want to get burned here by Puka Nakua. We're already down 10 points here. You got to have some help here, because the offense is having 3 and out. So I think that really dictated the pace and the play calling for Brian Flores. But then the Rams, they have some kind of down moments in the second quarter before halftime. And then that, Jared Verse, man, getting the scoop and score,
Yeah.
which, man, he was running down the field quickly, jumping into the end zone. That kind of shows how athletic the guy's going to be for the NFL for the long time. But yeah, Kobe Durant, man, Kobe Durant, that's the way he played his rookie year. That's the Kobe Durant that I expected, in 2023, even this year. He finally stepped up in the biggest moment. He has that ball hawk skills. He has that versatility to come off the edge and get you a hit here in the sack. Uh, I thought he stepped up, but yes, once they got that defensive touchdown, it brought new life for Matthew Stafford. So it wasn't their best game. It wasn't the best game for Puka Nakua. Like I mentioned, I wish Kyron Williams got the ball a little more. But then they rode that defense, man, and the
Yep.
lead was too big. The game got away. I honestly stopped watching. And Victor, I thought we were gonna be here like at 9 p.m. because I had like 3 stories to write tonight. When that game was over by halftime, all the stories were I was cranking them out. I was done here.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Rams for have given me a quick night tonight. But yeah, it's definitely the defense, and that's going to be key for the Philadelphia game to have some success against Vic Fangio early on. I do worry about Tyler Higbee injury because he's the reason why they got to that fast start. But
Yeah.
you worry about that in the coming days.
Yeah, I guess I guess if you want to be optimistic is the fact that it's a chest injury. Maybe it's not a head injury where you're in concussion protocol and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So we'll see hopefully because he was big in that first in that opening drive I thought, and ever since he's been back, you could tell that he has that connection with Matthew Stafford, and then I thought even though both Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup didn't have a big game, I thought getting Cooper Cup involved on that long pass also was good. So a lot of players got involved in this game. That was good to see. But like I said, the key here was the defense and how well they played, and I think they showed out. They're fine. I think the national media got to see how good this defense can really be.
Yeah, it's weird because they have like 5 guys on the defense up front, but there's a lot of names to remember. But you better know
Yeah,
the names of
yeah,
Kobe Turner and Jared Verse is going to be the defensive rookie of the year, even Michael Hoy. But yeah, man, the pressure, man. When you get pressure from 4 or 5 guys organically, and you're not bringing these blitz plays, and that just makes life easier for the back end to get a little more aggressive to go for those takeaways. The linebacker group, we saw the emergence of Omar Speights. It helps out when you have a good defensive front there. So to put it all together on a big stage with everybody watching you against a very good offense and you shut them down like that, yeah, that definitely says a lot about them. And yeah, I know you mentioned the whole Aaron Glenn thing and the Rams took from that. I'm a little surprised that the Vikings didn't really change it up a little more.
yeah.
There wasn't no running game. Aaron Jones, Cam Akers had that one run play. You
Hmm.
know, I wanted to see maybe a little more max protection. More plays around the line of scrimmage, but Sam Darnold gets in trouble when he just locks in on Justin Jefferson. There was no Jordan Addison, no T.J. Hawkinson until later in the game. So they took that game plan and they said, "Oh, it's still working." And then they started tinkering with it a little bit, where you bring in the DB blitzes and the extra packages. So overall, what a great day for that defense there to bring them home.
Yeah, and I mean, now, like we said, it sets up a great matchup with the Eagles. I know we said that was the one team they didn't want to face, but the way the Eagles looked against the Packers, I mean, the Rams should look to have a better performance in the playoffs against the Eagles. But we'll get to that on whenever we decide to do the preview, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, Gilbert. But I want to get to these comments. We've given you guys our takeaways. I want to make sure I get everybody here involved. We're here for you guys, so we're gonna start off with Dano today. He says, "Good evening, fellas. Great game. Go Rams." So, shout out to you, Dano. Hope everybody's staying safe tonight, and I hope everybody's doing good with the fires. I know um, there's been a lot of areas that have been impacted. So let us know how you guys are doing, and hope everybody is safe. If you made it to the game, let us know as well. If
Yeah.
you were one of those Ram fans that was on one of those buses that was able to make it down to Arizona, that was awesome to see as well. So yeah, AMS says we will win next week. Eagles are
Ooh.
overrated, Gilbert.
Very confident, and I can't knock you for that AMS. That was a great performance all around from the team. And like I mentioned, they have the ingredients to get an upset in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Johnny G says he kind of came PG says I knew that was gonna be a B slap on the Vikings.
Mm,
CMDR Carney says horns up, keep up the great content, House of Horns. Thank you,
thank you, sir.
CMDR Carney, we appreciate it. Uh, Henry Camacho says Shula's game plan was simple and effective. The rookie shined in the desert. McVay kept it simple and didn't put a lot of film for Philly to
Yeah,
study,
good
just
point.
enough to win. So that is a really
I
good
didn't think
point.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't put out his whole playbook. It was,
Offensively, defensively, it wasn't anything kind of strange and out there.
and you know what? I'll say this: if I'm Chris Shula, I don't change the game plan because one of the things that Jalen Hurts struggles with still, Gilbert, is that blitz. Watching that game against the Packers, that was one of those things that he still struggles with. He gets out of it sometimes, but between the second and third quarter, it just looked like the blitz kept getting to him.
Yeah, there was that down part there, and like I mentioned, with the defense stepping up. But hey, you'll take the fast start after what's been going on this year in
Yeah.
the first quarter. Maybe you take that all day.
Yeah, and that was big for them to go down and score. That just set up their momentum, and they never looked back. Delbert Salgado says, youngsters are scary on defense. Kudos, DC Shula. Would like to see the offense control the clock. 1-4, and here we are. Puros cuernos.
Mm.
You got to believe. Yeah, we're starting to believe, right,
Hey,
Gilbert?
Dover started a long time ago. I was out
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
team after that Miami loss at home in prime time.
Yeah, we were. He almost gave up, but not quite. But he's right back to it.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
that was the
appreciate.
Eagles game that almost broke
Yeah.
Dover, but no.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were in the comments saying, "Yeah, this team can't beat." Yeah, but it's good to see the turnaround. It's been great. CMDR Carney says, "I was so relaxed the whole game, but also in awe at what I was watching." That was you, Gilbert, because you just kept writing right after that, right?
Oh yeah, by halftime, I think after the verse touchdown, it's very hard for me to remember plays because they just set the tone in the first 2 quarters pretty much. So hey, it made an easy night for me. I was gonna tell you, Victor, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it on time. I got 3 stories to work on, but third, fourth quarter, I was putting pieces together and getting ready for this Rams Philadelphia game.
Yeah, I was wondering. I started doing my banners and everything, getting the stuff ready that I needed for my information. Some of the notes I had taken, and yeah, I was the by I think by the start of the fourth quarter, I pretty much had what I wanted to talk about in terms of our takeaways. Henry Camacho says Darnold was finished by halftime. Hopefully Higby's okay. Yeah, I mean, and I was looking at this. The Rams first half on defense, 7 tackles for loss, 6 sacks from 5 different sources: interception by Duran, forced fumble by Witherspoon, and then the 57-yard scoop and score by Verse Gilbert.
I, I wonder. Remember I hopefully it's the right game, Victor. Remember the first Vikings game where the refs didn't give the Vikings was it a call or something
Yes,
happened
it
at the
was
end?
it was the face mask on
Oh
Darnold
yeah,
on the end zone where it,
yeah.
it actually I the only reason I remember that is because I picked the over and that safety got me that over, Gilbert.
Yeah, and I remember Vikings fans were livid, even though the game was kind of out of hand. It's going to be a tall order to get through that. But I wonder how Vikings fans feel about that overturn fumble return. Which forget which player was it? Blake Cashman, right? Blake Cashman
Yeah,
got
Blake
the
Cashman. Yes.
Jonathan Grenard forced the fumble, and then Cashman recovered, and they went to the house. That could have been a momentum changer. Vikings fans that were in Arizona were super loud for a good stretch there. I wonder if that's going to be a hot take on social media. I haven't been checking because I've been writing my stories, but who knows? Maybe that would have changed the complexity of the game. But it was just one play.
Yeah, and then the refs, and I'll get to it because we have some comments here
Okay.
from Henry Camacho who says the refs were awful. They gave him a makeup call
Yes,
on that roughing the kicker.
I
That
thought
should have
the
been
same.
running into the kicker, not roughing the
Yeah,
kicker.
he
They
was
got the
clearly
ball back.
shoved. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Vikings didn't do anything with it. So I mean, if you have something to complain, you got the ball back and you still didn't score. You threw that interception.
Yeah.
So
Good
I
point.
don't know how you can complain if you're a Vikings fan that call went the other way and then the refs bail you out, give you the ball back, and you don't do anything with it.
Yeah, there was many opportunities for this team to bounce back, and honestly, the way that Kevin O'Connell looked, the team, the players at the end of like or towards the end of the second quarter, they looked defeated, deflated. There was going to be no second half comeback. I don't know what that says for this coaching staff here. They were great all year, but I just did not like what I saw from Kevin O'Connell. There
Yeah.
was like I know Darnold's taking the heat, but there was nothing to really help him out. There was no creativity. There wasn't, hey, let's go on a bootleg here. Let's run around a little bit. Let's do a little more running plays here with Cam Akers and let's try to find the creative way to give the ball to Justin Jefferson to calm everything down here. Nothing came by the second quarter. They checked out.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I don't put it on Sam Darnold. I get it. He's the one that got 9 sacks. He's the one that you're the quarterback. You're the one that's going to take all the heat. I get that. But Kevin O'Connell has been getting all the praise. This is where you kind of give him some of the criticism here too, Gilbert. He has to take a lot of this blame. That you go 14-0 against the rest of the league, and you go 0-4 against the Rams and the Lions, and I mean, he didn't make many adjustments, and I was the one that picked them to win that division a couple of weeks ago just because of the way they were rolling and the decisions they were making. And in these last two games, Kevin O'Connell, I feel like, especially in the red zone, he let them down, and with some of his play calling as well.
Yeah, I was pretty harsh on Sam Darnold for my story for SI. I said they got to move on, and but it's easy because you have a
Yeah,
rookie first round pick, and you don't want to pay the $40 million. Let somebody else deal with that and take a chance. And to me, a franchise quarterback is a guy who's able to lift a team in a tough situation. Okay, nobody's helping me out, no running game, no coaching scheme. I'm gonna make a play. He's not that guy. He's a great game manager. He's a great in the scheme. So from that standpoint, Kevin O'Connell did not help out. The running game didn't help out. The O line definitely didn't help out.
oh
He
yeah,
couldn't get into a rhythm there. But overall, even Brian Flores, Victor, a guy who has an uphill battle to get a second shot in the NFL as a head coach because of what happened in Miami, what happened with Tua. You got to talk teams into saying, "Hey, that was a unique situation with Tua. It didn't work out, but I'm ready. I've learned." Now teams are going to get spooked. Okay, you got two games here with the Lions and the Vikings. Sorry, Lions and the Rams. That's what you do defensively. So Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, the entire team, the two biggest games of the season. This is why people were calling the pretenders at before these two games. I thought they were going to be better than that. There's going to be a whole debate about teams that start on the road who have better records than the team that they're playing at home. We get that. Our good friend Alonso wants that to change the seedings there for the playoffs.
yeah.
Maybe if they were the one seed, this wouldn't happen. But hey, you couldn't beat the Lions twice. You had two big games to make up for it. You couldn't do it. So it was a bad ending for the Vikings here. And it wasn't just Sam Darnold. You're correct, Victor.
And one more thing, Gilbert, I got to give you credit because you're the one that you put it out there. I've seen it now a lot on Twitter the last hour or so, but McVay did the right thing. He sat his guys, and
Yeah.
that helped them out. And a lot of these teams having to play in Week 18. We saw it with the Chargers. We saw it with the Vikings. Now we saw it with the Steelers. This is what you end up getting. You want a certain opponent, and this is what you get. Like the Rams said, no, we're gonna rest our guys, and we're gonna take on the best competition out there. And they went out there and proved that they were right.
Yeah, and from the Lions standpoint, it worked out because they got that number one seed and they got a bye week. Everybody else, I don't see the reasoning to play your players. Obviously the Vikings were playing for that number one seed. I get that, but the Texans who barely played any of the starters in Week
Hmm.
18, everybody's saying they have no chance to beat the Chargers. Everybody was picking the Chargers. They go and smack them. People are saying, "What are you doing, Sean McVay? Why don't you want to go for a higher seed? You're going to lose the number 3 seed. What happened to the number 3 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They're out of the playoffs too. By the way, they
Yeah,
lost to the Commanders. So I get seeding is important, and you want to have better home game or better opportunities for a home game. But look at the Rams here, man. They were 1-4. They battled. I'm not trying to give them a whole bunch of credit, but it was such a smart move to rest your players when you have an older quarterback too. And
yeah,
and Matthew Stafford, you have a team that was hit with a bunch of injuries. You're gonna mess around and find out. No, you know what happened when this team was not healthy. So it
yep,
was credit to Sean McVay. He took his chance against a 4 or 5 matchup, and it worked out. Even during a wild week that didn't go
yeah.
their way because they wanted that home game that they earned so much, they still overcame the obstacles and they got it done.
Yeah, especially having to go to Arizona. And this is leads right into our next comment from CMDR Carney. He says, "Thank you, Arizona Cardinals and fans, for sharing your home." And that was really awesome. Bidwell to do that. The owner sending two planes out there. They got to, you know, send their whole staff, 400, I think it was 450 people. You got what it was, the 6 dogs and 2 cats, or 7 dogs and 2 cats. That was awesome. That was really cool to see, especially doing it to a division rival. Really cool. It just shows that the NFL can do a lot of good things, and when they choose to, they come through, and that was awesome to see.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the Arizona Cardinals for putting aside a rivalry, the NFC West rivals here, and saying you want to have the logo in the midfield at our home state. You want to have banners with the Rams logos. You want to have fight for LA, support LA, LA strong. Go ahead and do whatever you need. We're here for you, and just to see all the teams rallying to
Yeah,
help out the Rams, checking in, donating money. Not just the NFL teams. I saw all the teams in LA. I think 12 teams donated money to help out here with the wildfires. So yeah, it wasn't a week for rivalries. There wasn't a week to say I don't want the Rams in our locker room or stadium, and it was great. And credit to the Rams fans who were loud from the get go, man. I know it wasn't. the outcome that you wanted in terms of having a game at SoFi, but they were loud, man. That Byron Young sack on the first drive for Sam Darnold, you can really hear it on TV.
Yeah, and I mean those were two of the biggest plays. I thought, the offense going down and scoring on the opening drive, and then Kobe Turner getting that sack. That was a big momentum as well. All good things. Says Shula dialed up some exotic blitz packages tonight, and I thought that was a big thing that happened in this game, and he kind of took a little bit of like I said, a little bit of copy and paste from Aaron Glenn, and that was awesome to see.
Yeah, and but the best part for them is like they've never really done it throughout the whole season, so it was some element of surprise. And he sent, Duran. I saw Quentin Lake back there a couple times. Witherspoon got there on the big strip sack. So, hey, any kind of twist or advantage that you could get, go ahead and get it.
Yeah, I love how much respect this defense is starting to get, and we said it. They needed to find their identity, and honestly, I did not expect the defense to be the Rams' identity this season. And hey, man, that's why you play. You don't know, things change from season to season. Last season, the offense got this team into the playoffs, and this season, this defense won them the division. So big ups to the defense.
Yeah, and that's what makes this team scary. They're a complete team, and even though I get annoyed with the offense because they
Yeah.
go to sleep or they're inconsistent, I'm like, I get it. Puka Nakua, Stafford, and Connor Williams are there, but what have they done for a month? And nights like tonight, man, they step it up. And I don't know, Victor, was this the best performance of the season? I think it was better than the Buffalo game because it was a complete performance, at least to me.
Yeah, I would say so. I thought against the Vikings they played well too, so that's why we kind of like their chances in this game. We both picked them to win. I know a lot of people probably thought we were homers for doing that, but we haven't agreed on a lot of times when it comes to the Rams winning. And I think we saw what this Rams team is capable of. I think the biggest thing for both of us, I know I've been on it and I talked about it uh, before this game, was if this offense gets going, watch out, because that's the only missing piece they have. If this Rams team is going to go on a run, the offense needs to wake up, and they did so in those first two drives.
Yeah, and we finally saw them waking up, and you see the results when it's complete performance like that.
Let's continue on with these comments. Joaquin Quijada says, Rams up, baby. The disrespect must stop on the Rams organization, on Stafford and McVay as a whole. Spates, Lake, and the entire D line balled. Kyron Williams needs to tighten up a bit, but overall, a team W. Yeah, he fumbled. I think this was his sixth fumble, I think, because
Mm.
he could have had an eighth fumble, I guess, or something, second fumble in this game, but his shin was down, and then you had the Puka Nakua recovery on the first fumble.
Yeah, I thought he ran pretty well early on in the game before some of those miscues, and you want to see him get the ball a little more. But yeah, you can't be having that, especially if if the game was tighter in a bigger spot, and also you got to stay healthy because Blake Cormer's not around either.
Yeah, you had Ronnie Rivers in there. I thought he did a good job. We'll see. I did not see the third running back in there today. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe he needs to get a couple of reps in there before he's ready to go. CMDR Carney says, LA strong, Rams fan in Cincinnati, but I feel the pain of our city. Hey, thanks for, being with us from all the way from Cincinnati. I know it's a 2 hour difference, so 11 o'clock out there. Thank you for staying with us. Or it might be 3 hours now. I don't even know anymore. But
Yeah, I forget it.
good to have you on here.
Yeah, and shout out to you, and yeah, even if you're not in the city of LA, like you see what's going on, you're watching what's happening.
Yeah.
That was just devastating to see a lot of people lose their homes. I think what over 100,000 people were forced to evacuate. A lot of people lost their homes, and I'm not even sure if I want to admit this, Victor, because that song is so damn cheesy. Cheesy. I forgot the name of it, but the one before the start of the
Yeah.
game, this is our fight song, or this is whatever.
Yeah.
I even got like a little emotion because I think they were showing
Yeah.
the freaking pictures. I'm like, this
Yeah.
song is so lame, but damn it, okay, the words actually
Yeah.
go with right now because it is, a challenging time for LA. And you want to fight and give it your all. But it
Yeah.
sounds
Even
like
the
cliches and coach speak, but at this moment, you got to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Even Megan was talking about it. She was like, "Oh, that's a great song. That's a great
Yeah,
song choice. They
it really
killed it."
was
I
when
was
you
like,
heard
"We
the
didn't even know who
lyrics.
she was. We're like trying to figure out who she was,
Yeah, like,
but
we
she
all know
killed
the
it."
song, but we had no idea who it was, the artist, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, at least I'm not the only person that
Yeah,
thought
no,
that.
you're not. I can. We were here, and Megan's not a big sports fan, and she even noticed that. So yeah, that was a great song choice there. Joaquin Quijada says penalties were also an issue that can happen. What say both overall? What say you both overall? Like yeah, I mean the issues were one of the probably the one negative part about this, but I mean it's hard to take a lot of bad things away from this game. They were clicking on all cylinders, Gilbert.
Yeah, I guess if you have some of these penalties that occurred in the first half against the Philadelphia Eagles, a better team, you could be hurting. But we could pick and choose all we want. It was a dominant performance against a 14 win team, and even the Eagles, man. I know we're gonna get into it soon and next week, but they couldn't pass the ball. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts was at 39 yards. So a lot of these teams, man, like it kind of depends, man. Are you able to overcome a sluggish start? Are you able to overcome some penalties? Are you able to overcome a deficit? Those are teams that do well in the playoffs.
Yeah, and everything gets overstated now,
Mhm.
Gilbert. I mean, all your weaknesses get exposed, and this is why playoff football is it's a different animal, and why a lot of people like Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, because as long as you have those two guys together, this team can go a long way. And I get it, you need 53 guys, to win a Super Bowl and win games. But at the end of the day, if those two guys are in sick, that can take you a long way. But we'll see what happens. I mean, that's going to be a tough matchup, and we'll talk about it because we know what happened last time they faced each other.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's gonna be a hot take or I'm gonna annoy some people or people might call me a casual because especially they're playing the Eagles this week. This defensive front reminds me a little bit of the team of the Eagles. I know 2017 Eagles are a memorable team. They're historic. They're remembered for Nick Foles and many things. But people sometimes, at least I know Philly fans don't, but they overlook the reason why they won that damn Super Bowl with Nick Foles because of pass rushers. They have a lot of they had
Yeah.
depth. They came in waves and bunches with the pass rushers, and the Rams have that.
Hmm.
I know they have five freaking guys that could go win their matchup, and then you bring in the pressure that they brought today. If the DBs help out the way they did today, and then you're able to create pressure with a 4-man front or a 5-man front, that takes you a long way. Pass rush, like to me, that's when I knew pass rushers were so damn important. When that Nick Foles team won the damn Super Bowl with the Eagles, because I knew what they had there on the front. So you're always going to have a good chance with that. But then, like you mentioned, Victor, you throw in the quarterback factor, you throw in the head coach, you throw in the Super Bowl winning experience. Like they have the recipe and the ingredients to get it done.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think this is going to be a fascinating matchup. I haven't looked at the line yet. I know for the other two games, the Chiefs and the Texans, the line's pretty high. The closest line so far that I've seen was that Ravens and Bills one. The other one, I think the Lions and Commanders was 8.5. I don't know what this one's going to
Ooh,
be. I would assume it's going to be Philly plus
here I could
Philly's -4.
let me pull it up here. They still don't have it on the
Yeah,
website that I checked.
yeah, it's gonna be hard just because, and also the Rams are gonna be on what is it, on short rest, and I thought they were gonna get the second game on Sunday. They're getting the first game on Sunday, which I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to save Ravens Bills. That's the best game of the weekend for the last game in prime time, and I think that's why they did it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, but I thought I thought Lions were getting that Sunday night game.
Yeah, they gave him the Saturday game. I bet you the second they saw that they're playing the Commanders and you get Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, something must have happened.
Yeah, who knows? But we'll talk about that during our pregame show. Um, Joaquin Hiala says, now we see why Snead and McVay wanted Bowers, but either way, we got steals all through 2024 draft contributions across the board. I mean, look, man, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna criticize anything that Les Snead does with the draft because they just been hitting on dudes, and I understand why they wanted Bowers, as you say, but at the same time, Jared Verse is gonna be the rookie of the year. Bowers isn't, so
Yeah,
that's the difference.
and put it this way, like I think this is a smart thing. This is what smart teams do in the draft. They kind of have the whispers in the ears of what's going on. What are the teams thinking? Like, because you don't want to reach, you don't want to trade up and give a bunch of draft picks because you want to go for a player. They could
Yeah,
have maybe traded up for Brock Bowers. They could have maybe traded up for Byron Murphy the second, who went to the Seahawks there. No, because they knew they had a guy in Jared Verse that really liked, who they probably felt like no one's gonna take him higher than 19. we're gonna stand pat right here because that guy's he's just as good at Brock Bauer, he's just as good at Byron Murphy the second, but it's not gonna cost us a draft pick. So once they stood pat and they got their guy and as the edge rusher who was a great pick by the way, they still had the extra picks to go get Braden Fisk, who's just as pretty not I don't know just as good, but just as valuable to that defensive front. So now you pair Fisk and Jared Burst because you were not aggressive to get Brock Bowers. So to me, I think that played out the way they wanted to. I think it was the right plan. And like I mentioned, man, sometimes when you have loaded defensive fronts, that really gives you the edge in a bunch of these games here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that I they got a lot of criticism for trading up. They're like, oh, they paid a lot to go get Braden Fisk, but as we said, it's paid off, and now you can. I mean, when that pick comes up next season, or this, I guess during the draft, people are going to be like, "Yep, but we got Braden Fisk out of it, so who cares?"
Yeah, good
Honestly,
point.
and we'll see what happens. And also, the more you keep going, the farther in the playoffs you go, the later that pick becomes in the second round now. So whatever they gave up, it could, the longer they go on here, the longer that picks, keeps getting pushed back. So that's another thing to root for there. That way it doesn't seem like a bad to me. It was still worth it no matter what happens. um Joaquin Quijas says defense getting younger. The last two seasons has allowed Shula this year to get a lot of these young guys to play fast and aggressive. Thoughts on to stop
Mm,
Barkley?
yeah,
We'll get to it. We'll
yeah,
get to
yeah.
that
That's gonna
on
be
the
a
preview
tough.
show.
The
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
Vikings
be
did not
tough.
have a running game like that to calm down a good
Yep.
defensive front. So it's definitely something you got to break down and assess. But yeah, we'll break it down on probably Wednesday,
Yeah, he
Victor. I'm
went for
guessing.
over 200 yards against the Rams, so
Yeah,
that's gonna be a big key.
yeah. I'm guessing Wednesday we'll break down this show because it's on a Sunday.
Yep.
So yeah, look out for that Wednesday evening.
We got a new commenter here. SD36 says, Higby, Rams leading receiver tonight. That is correct. Needs to be healthy in the back. The backups are bad and always get penalized weekly. That is also correct. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Hunter Long had a chance there to catch a pass down deep. Did not catch it. And then Davis Allen did catch that touchdown in the second quarter that extended the lead. Yeah, at the end of the second quarter. And then I mean, that's been a terrible signing in I forget the third tight end now. Why am I
Oh,
what is his name?
is it Parkinson? Kobe?
Yeah, Colby Parkinson.
Mhm.
Sorry. It's a lot of names to remember here. Delbert says last game versus Philly, we got jumped in. Laugh out loud, never again. So there we go. See? He remembers that.
Yeah.
Bernard Taylor says, "Don't fool yourselves. You beat the Vikings. Eagles gonna smack y'all." So we already have a Eagles fan on here. That is awesome to see. People are
Yeah.
ready. We're already talking Eagles and Rams.
Yeah.
ESG says the Rams were one of the least penalized teams during the regular season. So
Mm.
I would say that whatever happened today with the penalties, I don't expect them to see that against the Eagles.
And Bernard, you're 100% correct. I think the Eagles are better than the Vikings. It's going to be a difficult challenge. Also, I know today was kind of a road game, but that Philadelphia crowd is going to be 100% Philadelphia, so
Yep.
it's going to be a little different. So it's definitely a daunting challenge for the Rams here. So we're definitely not saying it's a
Yep.
close competition between the Vikings and the Eagles, but this Rams team is well tested, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, these teams look a lot different than what they look like when they faced each other, and we talked about that. I think that's going to be a big talking point for us during our preview is the fact that this defense looks it's a lot better. I can say that since the last time they faced each other, and so that'll be something to keep an eye on. And as Michael Armenta says, Rams defense was lights out today, but Bernard Taylor says Rams are overrated and we're not the Vikings Eagles real deal. You know what happened last time. We do know what happened last time. We talked about it. That was the Eagles were one of the teams we said the Rams might not want to see in the playoffs, but I think things have changed a little bit, especially if this offense gets going. And we'll talk about it on Wednesday, Gilbert.
Yeah, they are different, but Saquon Barkley is also different, and
Hmm.
uh, I'm trying to think. They haven't really faced Saquon Barkley. I guess you don't really ever face a Saquon Barkley, like, unless you're facing a Derrick Henry, and he's not coming up on the schedule for the Rams. So It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be you can't just get away with blitzing here because Barkley could beat you here, and I think Jalen Hurts being also mobile and taking off could hurt you, and also having the option plays with Barkley and Hurts is not Jackson and Henry, but it's still pretty lethal. I thought Jalen Hurts did a great job of using his mobility when the passing game wasn't working, so that's gonna be a whole another element for this team to deal with.
Yeah, and one of my biggest criticisms in that game too, Gilbert, was the fact that Jared Verse just could not help hold the edge,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I mean Jalen Hurts just kept going on the outside. You're gonna have to hold the edge, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. But yeah, that was one of my that's gonna be one of my big things is that you're gonna have to hold the edge, especially. And I think I saw the linebacker for the 49ers who's doing a lot of TV work this weekend.
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner was talking about, hey, you're gonna have to hit Jalen Hurts. Want to test him and
Yeah.
see, like, not in a bad way, like you're trying to hurt him or trying to get him to get concussed, but you want to test him
Oh yeah.
and make sure that he's willing to take some of those hits.
You're not as bold or a crafty creator, or you don't think as well on the option plays when you're seeing a constant pressure for 4 quarters.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like I said, we'll talk about it. But CMDR Carney says Rams will need to put more helmets on the ball to stop Barkley. Yeah, but we fear no one. So
Hey,
that yep,
Sean
that's been the
McVay said
message.
it. When he said that, I'm like, that's damn right, because all these teams over here, like the Steelers and the Chargers, trying to play their starters on week 18 to face the Texans because they're afraid of the Ravens, or other like the Commanders and the Packers are trying to fight to not get the 7th seed. Like, who cares, man? Just get rested and be ready for the playoffs.
Yep. I like this name here. Animals with horns. Our backs breaking up deep passes was great to see. Besides the flags on offense, Rams could have put up more points. A lot of confidence going into the Eagles, I feel.
Yeah, definitely I could see a better performance from the Rams offense. Like I mentioned, that second quarter was not pretty, and they needed a spark from the defensive touchdown to get going again. But hey, you take the steps here when you could get them, and scoring on the opening drive in the first quarter with this team that couldn't score points in the first quarter all season, really was a game changer for the especially for the scripts on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna have a perfect performance, but I thought, what you were able to, like you said, you were able to write three stories because they were up ahead by, was it 27-3 at one point, I think it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, there you do need to clean some things up, and I'm sure they'll talk about it. I am I am interested to see how they're gonna practice. Like I said, we still have some win advisories
mm,
here. It's supposed to get pretty bad here on Tuesday, so I'm sure tomorrow they'll take off. They won't practice. They'll probably have some walkthroughs, and then Wednesday and Thursday maybe they get a couple practices in before they fly out to Philadelphia.
yeah. I wonder if they decided to leave early. I know this week they were kind of forced to leave a little early from what they usually
Yeah.
do. Or they weren't even expecting them to leave because of the home game being in LA. But I think they left. I want to say Friday.
Yeah, they did leave
So,
Friday
so we gotta.
afternoon.
That's pretty much a whole weekend in Arizona. So I don't. I
Yeah.
wonder if they do something where they leave, Friday morning to Philadelphia and maybe have a practice out there.
Yeah, I honestly would not blame them if they like get home, make sure everything's good, and then they fly either Tuesday or Wednesday to Philadelphia and just to get themselves, like focus on the game. We'll see what happens. Honestly, I would not be surprised by anything that they do because they made the right call in terms of having the game in Arizona and then heading out there on Friday and then having 2 days to practice in Arizona to get ready for this game.
Yeah, it worked out, and it says a lot for a team to stay together during a difficult week. And you're probably wishing you could help a little more. You're probably worried about your family and friends, but hey, they were focused and got it done.
Yeah, let me go through these real quick, these comments, and then we'll put an end to the show. Joaquin Quijada says Witherspoon continues to prove everyone wrong. As needed, McVay need to extend him and keep him around. Don't make the same mistake twice. Agree.
He was at it pretty late, right? Or I forget when,
Yeah,
but
he came in after an injury. I think it was week. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was after the bye week, Gilbert, and he was
yeah,
added to the roster.
it was
And then,
surprising. He played well last year, so
yep,
to bring him back was smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna cost you a lot of money to bring him back. I doubt he's gonna ask for a lot. I know he did get hurt with the, I think it was a thigh injury or something, or he pulled something, but hopefully he's ready to go for next week. Daniel says I hope Higby and Witherspoon can bounce back from the injury. So both of those guys are going to be needed against the Eagles for sure. Jesse Soto says this game felt so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is our fight song. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jerry Rivera says Rams are peaking.
Ooh.
CMDR Carney says Stafford look focused and in playoff mood. I mean, he's what I had his stats here. He is now 5-1 as a Ram, Gilbert, and
Ooh.
has a total of 15 touchdowns as a in the playoffs as a Ram. So he
Oh yeah.
loves being
Okay,
a
so his
Ram.
only loss is that Lions game last year.
Yep. His other losses came as he lost all his game as a Detroit
Mm,
Lion. So
okay.
yeah, Delver says Bernard Taylor drinking all that Dan Campbell juice. We'll take our chances. Uh
Yeah, look at that. That we're getting into the rivalry already.
yeah, we're ready for the preview. All good things is got to clean up the penalties and stop shooting ourselves in the foot. Yep, we agree with you, Renee Trujillo. Welcome, go Rams. And then we got our guy Evan Hose, who we haven't
Mm,
heard from in a
yeah.
while. Payne and Manning, as he said, Payne and Eli Manning had Bill Belichick as a guest on ESPN2, and they called the game tonight. The first thing Belichick said was, continue. The first thing he said was, the first thing you have to do is not be yourself. And the Rams had several errors where they could have beaten themselves. And I did see a comment from somebody. I think it was what's his name? The guy who's now he used to be Justin Herbert's backup. I always forget his name.
Oh,
The quarterback.
Chase Daniel.
Yeah, Chase Daniel. And he said that he loved the way that McVay game plan against Brian Flores in this game, where he made sure that Matthew Stafford wasn't, was on the move. He was moving around so that way he can get rid of the ball. And I thought somebody replied, Sean McVay will never forget Super Bowl 53 because that's what Sean with Bill Belichick did to him. Brian Flores is one of his disciples. And so
Ah.
he's learned from that, and now he knows. I mean, that he took that loss to Bill Belichick in Super Bowl 53 to heart. That now everything he does is to combat teams that play with that kind of a defense. Gilbert.
Yeah, obviously he went 2-0 this year, and I'm not sure what the record is over the years, but hey, he's definitely haven't really he hasn't had maybe 2022, but he hasn't had too many offensive
Yeah,
games where he really was embarrassed like that, like the Super Bowl. Which I was
yeah,
at that Super Bowl in Atlanta, and that was ugly.
yeah. And we discuss, and we'll talk about that the reason Bill Belichick had that game plan in Super Bowl 53 was because Big Fangio and having Big Fangio face him with when he was with the Chicago Bears,
There you
and
go.
he took that game plan to heart and then used it in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 53. So another big
Yeah.
challenge, another guy to get through here for Sean McVay, and we'll see what happens
Uh,
on Sunday. And talking about Sunday, Joaquin Quijada says the 12 p.m. start has to be the best thing for the Rams. Conditions are hopefully at their warmest. A Pacific time game could be tougher. So yeah,
yeah,
a prime
maybe
time game could have been tough,
yeah,
right?
a
Yeah,
nighttime crowd, a Philly crowd, may would have been a little more raucous out there for that.
yeah. One more here from Delver says if Washington beats the Lions, we host at SoFi. So that
Yeah,
could
I
happen.
I wrote that. I'm like, "Hey, that'd be awesome for the city of LA if the Commanders beat the Lions." I don't know what's gonna happen. That's a tough thing to do against Detroit, but if the Rams beat the Eagles and the Commanders win, you get a home game at SoFi for that NFC title game. How special would that be?
And look, man, I know a lot of people were saying, hey, you want to get that third seed to play the Commanders. The way Jaden Daniels is playing right now, I don't know if that would have been a great recipe for this Rams defense, but because they struggle against mobile quarterbacks. But yeah, Jerry, you never know.
Mhm.
That is true. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, man, he's a
It's good.
baller, man.
If that
Yeah.
game stays close, Victor, in the 4th quarter, I think I will give the advantage to Jaden Daniels because of what he's done. I know he's a rookie, but that guy's really good in
I mean,
clutch
he's got
time.
six comeback wins, which are as a rookie ties a
Man,
record. I mean,
And he's
Yeah,
doing it with a bunch of like guys that are on their third, fourth teams that need like another shot, like Zach Ertz or Jameson Crowder. Was it Noah Brown that got the walk off Hail Mary?
yeah.
Obviously, Scary Terry's been great. He
Yep.
was great also yesterday. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't count out this team. But to me, they're a little thin. I feel like, but we know what happens when you face a heavyweight like
I
the,
mean,
the
both of
Lions.
those teams are thin right now too. I mean, the
That's
Lions
true
aren't,
defensively. Yeah.
so yeah. If I'm a betting man, I like I take the Commanders points there.
Mm,
We'll see
yeah.
what happens,
It's like
but
9 points, right?
yeah, 9 points right now. But yeah, great show, Gilbert. I'm still under the weather a little bit. I fought through it. I'm glad everybody was cool about it. Nobody mentioned it, but even Troy Aikman looked like he sounded just like me
Oh
tonight.
yeah, yeah. He did
A
sound like
lot of
that.
people were like, "Hey, is he okay? Is there a guy that can come in and do they have a backup voice guy?" And yeah, so yeah, great night for the Rams. It's awesome. They continue on, and now they take on the Eagles on Sunday afternoon, I guess Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern out there. But yeah, I mean, oh, and then we had a question here. I'm sorry, I wanted to wait till now to use it here, and it was, I believe, it was from All Good Things. Yeah. So here we go, Gilbert. Who you guys giving the game balls to? Which is, it takes us to our version of that, which is our 12 pack beer of a player of the game. Who do you got, Gilbert?
You know what? I'll give it to the DBs. I'll name a few. And obviously, Chris Shula needs a tall can of Modelo's, or even a 24 pack for himself. That was a great game plan. But just seeing Cody Durant step up, Akila Witherspoon stepping up with the strip sack, seeing Quentin Lake all over the field, man. I think that element of the DBs being aggressive, ball hogs, contributing to the pressure, really made this game a blowout. So I'll give the secondary and Chris Shula. Obviously, the front could get it too, but I can't take all the players from you, Vic.
No, yeah, give it to the defense. I'll give it to Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
As I said, 5-1 now. And then I thought he set the momentum for this game. He set the tone, I should say. I mean, going 6 for 6 on that opening drive, and having their first opening drive touchdown of the season and doing it in the playoffs was great. And they're gonna need this offense to continue to kind of catch up to the defense because the defense has been so dominant. So I'll say this, Gilbert. One last thing here as we get ready for this matchup with the Eagles. If I'm Sean McVay and the Rams win the toss, I would want the offense out there first. I would
Yeah,
say
I
give us
like
the
it.
ball and let's go and let's run our offense out there, and then we'll let our defense dictate the Eagles on offense later on. But I it, I'll say that right now is if I'm Sean McVay and you win the toss against the Eagles, you take the ball and on offense first.
Yeah, they're going through probably the two toughest defensive coordinators in the NFL right now for different reasons. Brian Flores is a little more aggressive. That defense could swarm you. They can make your night miserable. It could end in a hurry. But a big fan is all about taking away the deep ball, confusing you, not knowing what's out there. Disguises, coverages are so complex. You don't know what the hell you're doing. So if you have a well scripted opening drive to find the holes in a scheme that's not ready or not on their P's and Q's right out the gate, yeah, take the ball and score and change the game plan for them.
Yeah, and they've lost N'Kobe Dean now.
Oh
That
yeah, I
was
saw
one of
that.
their guys on their linebackers. So we'll talk about all this, but just trying to give you guys a little tease of what we're gonna do for our preview. Just something to kind of keep in mind there. But and then Jerry Guerra, one last comment. Remember, they started off fast and then Kyron fumble in that game,
Mm.
and they were on their way. So yes, that's part of it too. So like I said, well, a little bit of a tease there for our preview on Wednesday. So stay locked in, and we'll be back on Wednesday to preview a matchup. Right back at it in 2 days. We got the four compas tomorrow, Gilbert, and then on Wednesday we have our preview. So a lot of content that we're gonna put out the next couple days.
Yeah, it's good to be on here and talk football with you guys and you, Victor. So again, a challenging week, a week that we're not going to forget, but it's going to make us stronger as a community. We're going to rebuild. It was great to see a lot of LA out there in Arizona. Keep LA strong, fight for LA, whatever you want to call it. It was on the big stage, and it's a brief distraction. It was brief positivity for such a challenging battle, but it was a perfect night to put LA on the big stage, and the Rams delivered. And I'm sure Rams fans really enjoyed that. It must have been difficult to have tickets to the game, and then you're asking, "What the hell are we doing? How can we get to Arizona?" You make it, and you get that performance, man. It was just a special way to end such a challenging week. Obviously, it's not gonna, it's not gonna help you overcome everything that occurred. But for a good 3 hours, man, what a great burst of positivity here for the Rams. But all right, Victor, it's time to get going. Anything else that I'm forgetting?
No, that was well
All right.
put, man. That was a
Okay.
great way
I was
to
like, wait, I'm
to
talking too much. Are we done?
no,
But
no,
yes,
go ahead
again,
and
it
put it
was
away there. That was a great way to
yeah.
finish
This
this
again,
show.
I botched it, but it's a tricky game where you don't want to say too many things that like, hey, it's a great game, but again, it's just a game, and a lot of people are going through a lot of struggles, and it's a devastating week. But again, like I mentioned, it was some form of positivity, and the Rams showed out to put LA in a good light and on the biggest stage. So Rams fans, enjoy it. Time to get out of here. Ya nos vamos. Pues vámonos.